Welcome to the party.
One back in the middle, Johnny and the Greg.
Hi.
How's it going, man?
Good. Staying safe.
I don't know if we're technically 6 feet away from each other. I think we are.
So we're good. We're good.
I think we
Okay.
can take these off then, right?
Can I? I've had it on for 3 weeks straight.
All right. Well, I'm gonna take it off and see what
Sure?
happens. Yeah, let's give it a shot.
Oh my God! Look at my face.
What's that?
I have a beard. I didn't know.
All right. For those of you that were listening to this strictly through audio, you're welcome.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah. If you want to check out the exciting opening we had for this podcast, check it out on YouTube, because that's the only place you're going to find it. Anyway, welcome to In the Middle with Johnny and the Greg. We are guestless today.
Just us today.
Yeah, it's just us. So we don't really even have anything to go off of, except I was starting to talk to you about your hair.
Yeah.
And I said, I asked you basically, because I anybody that has watched this program knows you're bald. You've been wearing bald for as long as I can really remember. But I do actually remember you with hair. That wasn't a shock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hang on. This has to sound good for audio too.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. All right. What was I gonna say? Oh, so we were talking about when did you start losing your hair?
It started. I hit one kind of last growth spurt when I want to say I was like 19. So it was my freshman year of college. I hit one kind of last spurt. My shoulders got a little bit broader, voice got a little bit lower. You know, that one last shot of testosterone that, you get. And then, because that's part of hair loss, is that you have to have, there's kind of a bunch of factors that go into it, but one is you just have to have the gene for it. Okay. Like it's a genetic.
It's usually from mom, right?
Yeah, it's passed down. It's passed on from your mother, and so you got to have that special gene. And then, and this is as my doctors explained it to me. So I'm not a doctor, but this is how an actual medical doctor explained it to me. Okay. And he said, like, as soon as you had a high testosterone level, that gene goes active, and that's what causes you to start losing your hair. So that last kind of shot of testosterone that I got, that just kind of, jacked up my testosterone level for wherever it is, activated the gene, and my hair started to fall out. So it was.
That's interesting. I've never heard that. That's interesting.
Yeah, and it was. So I was about 19. I was in denial until I was until I was 22. I was in pretty much denial. Like,
denial or fighting it.
Kind of fighting. Like at first, it was it's not happening. It can't be happening.
Right. No, not me.
No. Because at the time, I'm 19, I'm 20. I mean, you don't lose.
Yeah, that would make sense.
19 or 20. Come on, you do that when you're in your 30s, it'll start to go or something.
Right, yeah.
And so anybody, and the other thing is I'm tall, so most people don't see the top of my head.
How tall you run, Greg?
If you go by like that high school program your senior year, I think I was listed as 6'4", and I was like, and now that I'm like, I don't think I was ever 6'4", so I'm somewhere between 6'2" and 6'3".
I fluctuate. Honestly, I fluctuate between 6'3" and 6'4". I think I'm shrinking more towards 6'3" now as gravity does its job.
Pretty average height, I think, for like upper Midwest where we live.
You think so?
I never thought of myself as overly huge or big or like outlandishly tall, because there were plenty of people around my school and just around that are. I mean, there's plenty of 6-footers around, Wisconsin and Illinois, because it's just the way people settle.
Oh, you're just talking about the region we're in.
Yeah, the region we're in. Because I never thought I was that tall until I started to travel a little bit. And first time I went down to Texas, and I'm in San Antonio, and I'm like, I'm a giant down here. What is happening? And even my friend from Texas was like, yeah, dude, you're like super tall. And she had traveled much more than I ever did. And she's like, even like, worldwide, you're a tall person. Like certain parts of Europe where you go, like Scandinavia or stuff like that. She's like, yeah, you're more on par with them. But, you could go to Tokyo and your head like shoulders above everybody. And I'm like,
yeah, I lived in Japan. I was
definitely.
I run about the same height as you. I was definitely the tallest guy in the room in Japan. So
with that, most people didn't see the top of my head, and so I was in denial for a long time. And I remember one time standing at the sink, and I'm just like rubbing my head and just watching it fall into the sink, and I'm like, that's just regular shedding, though. Like everything sheds. I mean, come on. And I just kept rubbing. I'm like, that's a lot. That's a lot of hair that's falling out.
Okay, so that was the fighting it until
that was part of the like, okay, it's happening.
Yeah. Just take it like a man.
Well, and it wasn't until so I got married in June, and I had a normal, I guess, haircut for a guy getting married. I guess I don't know what to say. It was, parted on one side and whatever. So get married on a Saturday. We're flying out for Vegas on a Monday for the honeymoon. And Sunday night, like, we're back at our apartment.
Yeah.
And I had just moved in. We didn't have cable hooked up. And it's like we got home like late Sunday afternoon. And we're like, well, we're flying. It's like we have to go to bed early because we have to be at the airport at like 4 a.m. to fly to Vegas. And I'm like, well, do you want to watch the wedding video to see how that turned out? Because we had
saw yourself.
Yeah, we had a copy from the church cameras. And so we plugged that in the VCR and hit play. And I'm literally like wide-eyed. I'm like, it was like a little flesh-colored like yarmulke, like right in the back, just that little. And I look at Krista and I'm just like, oh, is it really that bad? She goes, well, yeah, but no one can see it because you're tall. And I'm like, it's that bad though. She's like, yeah, it is. I immediately got up, dug through my boxes of stuff that I had just moved into her place because that was our first apartment.
Yeah.
Found my clippers and like just buzzed. I believe I was still using a guard. So I buzzed like with like a number 1 guard or 2 guard or something just to get it. And just like, nope, it's all. And I'm like, I'm never combing my hair again. This is it. And I took it all off. And
haven't looked back.
Well, I was shaving like with clippers.
Okay.
For a while.
Yeah.
And then it was probably like a year later, I had just like shaved with no guard because it was summertime. And I'm like, I'll go for no guard. Shaved it all off. So it's short. I mean, it's short. And I look at it and I'm like, what if I just take a razor to it? And that's where I, lathered up the head and started shaving. Krista comes in, I'm halfway done with it. And so she sees she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, shaving my head. But why would you? I'm like, does it really matter? She goes, nah, not really. and that was it. That was I've never really grown it out much since. One time when I was teaching school, I did a no shave November. They're like, you have to do your hair, like your top of your head too. And I'm like, that no one wants to see that. They're like, no, really, we want it. So I let it go for a month.
What the kids or the teachers?
The kids, because it was
okay.
They had I think it was 6 of the male teachers, and they were going to see who could just have the best beard in a month.
Oh, okay.
And kids would like throw money into jugs as a bet kind of thing going. And they said, well, you can't shave, like it's no haircuts, it's nothing. And I'm like, all right. But I think the best story I have about being bald was before I got married. I went to the doctor, just kind of like the basic, hey, I'm still on mom and dad's insurance. I'll get checked out real quick, whatever. Right. So I go for the physical. He comes in. And at this point now, so I'm 22, and so like even like the widow's peak was getting a little bit more pronounced and whatnot. And he kind of comes in and he looks at me and he's like, so I can see you're losing your hair. And that's where he leaves it. And just kind of leaves it hanging. I kind of look at him like, I can see you're putting on weight.
I thought we were on a delay. I thought you froze. You did that so well.
He just like stopped talking. He's like, so you're going bald. And just like stopped talking. And I'm like, hey, you're getting fat. What do you want me to say to that? I mean, like,
right.
He's like, well, no. And he was, and my doctor, I think, was in his early 30s at that point. He's kind of like, well, no. He's like, so he's like, well, here, let me be right back. He brought in like some pamphlets and stuff.
Rogaine and all that fun stuff.
It wasn't Rogaine. It was called Propecia, which is, I think, is the pill form. And he's like, okay, well, here it is, and kind of explained it to me. And he's like, well, you know, so it's about $50 a month. And I'm like, still in college, because I got married while I was still in college. I had like a little bit of time left. And I was like, okay. And he's like, so it's $50 a month. You got to take it for about 6 months before you really before you even know if it's going to work for you or not. Because I guess there is a percentage of men it just doesn't work for.
Okay.
Wait, so I'm $300 in before
you know if it even works?
He's like, yeah. I said, insurance doesn't cover this. He goes, no. Okay, that's strike one.
Yeah.
And so then I asked him, I'm like, okay, so let's say I start taking it and it does work. Is it just the hair on the top of my head that's going to grow? Or am I going to get like the back sweater as well? He goes, well, I guess I don't think they can specialize it to just be, it's just like overall hair growth. I'm like, okay, so back sweater is an option, strike two. I said, all right, so, well, I'm getting married here in about a month. I said, what's that other side effect? And I'm talking about the sexual side effect. And he's like, well, it's a really low percentage. I'm like, I get what you're saying. Tell me what it is. Is it just like stuff doesn't work? He's like, oh, no. It's not that at all. Everything works just fine. I'm like, well, what is it? He goes, well, he's kind of like flipping through the pamphlet. He's like, well, okay, he's like, instead of ejaculation, it going out, it's rejaculation. And
what
it goes in. And I'm looking at him, just kind of blinking. I'm like, wait, what? He's like, well, it's like your muscles.
So it's like a reverse vacuum?
Yeah, it's like someone turns a valve, and instead of your stuff going out, it goes in.
How is that possible?
I don't know. This is I swear to God, this is what the doc was telling me. And I'm like, I'm having your exact reaction right now. I'm like, what do you mean? Like,
oh my God.
I said, is it still the same like pressure? And he goes, well, yeah, it's everything. It's like your muscles, like your nervous system just kind of goes in reverse. And I'm like, all right. Next question. Where does it go? He goes, oh, I don't know. Like,
I don't know. Oh, that's a good question, Greg. Where does it go?
I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? He goes, well, I assume it just kind of goes like into your bladder or something. I mean, that's where the
yeah, I'm reading it right now. Retrograde ejaculation occurs when the semen enters the bladder instead of emerging through the penis during an orgasm. Although you still reach sexual climax, you might ejaculate very little or no semen. This is something called a dry orgasm. Retrograde ejaculation isn't harmful, but it can cause male infertility. Makes sense.
It does make sense. Damn. And I looked at it, I'm like, strike three. I am out. No freaking way.
Next time, Doc, lead with that.
Oh, man. Yeah, I would. Yeah. And he's like, well, it's a real small percentage. It's like, less than 3% of men that were in the clinical trials. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'll just be bald. Like, I had
interesting.
I had shaved my head. Like, even in high school, guys were shaving their heads for like football and stuff like that. Not like super short or with a bic, but like we were keeping it short. I knew my head had decent shape to it, so I didn't have like funky bumps or anything like that. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna be bald. I'm just going to be bald.
Wow. Well, so guys, that's what you get when you're in the middle here with Johnny and the Greg. You go from bald to retrograde ejaculation.
Yeah. It was, I like literally walked out of the doctor's office, just like if there had been podcasting at that time, I would have been all over.
This would have been the story.
I gotta tell somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I think my fiance, now wife, right away, I'm just like, oh, you won't believe how this went.
Wow. Wow. And all it's going to cost you is $300 before you figure out any of that.
$100 before you even know.
Wow. Wowdy. Wow. Wow. I don't really know to go from there, Greg.
Yeah, it was something. What else you got to talk about today?
Yeah. I do have one thing. I maybe you heard about it. I've been kind of out of the loop for about 3 days, news-wise. But did Trump tell people that inject yourself with disinfectant? Did he tell people that?
The words did come out of his mouth, yes.
Okay, but is the media twisting what he actually said, or is the word he said that?
This isn't whatever my opinions are of the guy. He has always had a very deadpan delivery of just about anything.
Oh, okay.
He just talks, and it's not good, it's not bad, it just is what it is. Every once in a while, you just kind of flub up some wordage and just kind of keep going forward, man. And that's kind of how he is. I mean, he's like a weird kind of stoner, but he did say, maybe if we just I can't remember the exact sound clip, but it was essentially like, if we just inject ourselves with cleaner, maybe that'll disinfectant, maybe that would.
Oh,
Lord. But again, these are the people that are doing this are the same people that eat Tide Pods. I mean, this is really like people that think, oh no, this will be fine. There's no problem with this. And so
you got to worry about those people. Those are the people that join cults.
Well, I did see one thing on Facebook today I thought was funny, where people are like, we need to stop people from like trying to drink bleach. And somebody's like,
I saw that.
Because they let their Trump supporters are like, let the white supremacists drink bleach. What's the big
deal? Well, you might have read that one. I read one that said, hey, you know what? Let's let this play out, see what happens.
Yeah, it's be fine.
Yeah, and that's what made me go, let's see what play out. What's going on? What happened? Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I mean, the words did come out of his mouth.
Interesting.
But again, there's just a certain part of the population that'll be like, yeah, this will work.
Well, yeah, it's like those people that in the beginning, didn't they ingested some sort of pond chemical that kills algae in a pond because it had that. He brought up that there was
some kind of antibacterial or something like that.
Yeah, and so
antiviral.
Yeah. So this couple drank that and they died.
Of course,
but it was just one couple. But yeah,
there's idiots out there, man. Absolutely.
What's it called?
Idiots.
Okay, idiots. What's
so my grandfather's right. It's like an idiot. I mean,
why don't you just say idiot?
I don't know, because my grandfather would call them midgets.
The reason that's on the tip of my tongue is the way I said that is because I just got done watching The Nice Guys.
Oh,
how his daughter's always saying and stuff, and he's like, "Don't say and stuff, just say it.
Just don't say and stuff." I love that movie. That's a great movie.
You know what? It's funny. I didn't know how good of a comedic actor Ryan Gosling is.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I thought he was hilarious. Mm-hmm. I thought he was hilarious. But that was like, I think, when Russell Crowe is explaining to him the whole Nixon like story, and he goes, "Why didn't you just say the guy died?" But that's why I said that.
A great double feature movie night is Nice Guys and then Kiss Kiss Bang Bang with Robert Downey Jr. Oh my god!
And Val Kilmer, right?
Val Kilmer and Robert. Yeah, it's a great one.
I heard that's really good. Yeah,
and Robert Downey Jr. does a great job both with comedy and drama in that.
He's a fantastic actor.
Yeah, he is. He really
is. Yeah, like I think he's the one that, I mean, we're going off a little off track here, but I think he's the one that set the standard of, okay, if we have, if he's Iron Man, like, we got to get good actors to keep playing these superhero roles.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the guy that changed that? Because back in the 80s, if you would have done Captain America, you would have thrown Arnold Schwarzenegger in that suit. Like, so who was the actor that transition that, hey, you know what, you just need to take a really good actor, get him a shape, and he can play the part?
Well, I think how do you mean, like having the, oh, you mean like without being like the super fit, like tough
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Like Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger were like the action heroes. They were like the rock of the
with just absolutely chiseled physiques and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say Bruce Willis was the first one because nobody bet on him to be an action star when
I
Die Hard came out.
I remember when they said he was filming a movie called Die Hard, and they showed him in a scene shooting a machine gun, and I thought, is this a comedy? Because he's from Moonlighting, and he's hilarious in Moonlighting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And no, I mean, and that was there's a great Netflix series called The Films That Made Us.
Yes,
and they feature Die Hard in that series. It's a great story.
It is
of how Die Hard got made and how no one bet on Bruce Willis at all as an action star.
Yeah,
but he knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, I agree. Another movie I just got done watching before we jumped on the podcast here was The Predator, the recent one. Not Predator with Arnold, but like the latest incarnation of. It's called The Predator. Yeah. It's not bad. Like I went in there with zero expectation of being entertained, and I was entertained.
That starts to kind of set up they did it in Predators, where there's like two different factions of the aliens.
Yeah,
warring. And they kind of expounded on that a little bit with this one.
Yeah, but it's entertaining. It was entertaining.
Yeah, it was fine.
I was like, okay, I didn't think it was going to go in this direction whatsoever, but I'm entertained. Okay. So
yeah, I liked it.
How about you? Watch anything good during your quarantine?
Oh, what have we watched? I actually had a really productive yard weekend, so I haven't watched a lot of TV. But man. Oh yeah, it was a big kind of yard work weekend. My dog's gonna eat dog food like right by the microphone. That just makes me upset. If I yell at him, he'll be like, "What?" So, so like, what have I been watching? We've been watching a show called Fort Salem, I think is the name, or like.
Oh, that's like the witches thing, right?
Yeah. It's we've been watching it on Hulu.
What do we think?
I like it. I mean, it's setting up a mythos completely unique of its own. I'm not going to say that anything in there has really been done before that I've seen. So yeah.
I remind myself that. Keep going.
Gosh, what else? We started it super late, but I got halfway through Extraction.
That's what I was bringing down. Yeah. I didn't think that movie was going to blow me away, but
it did.
There were some action scenes there.
Oh yeah.
That I'm going, how do you do that?
So I ended up falling asleep, and not because it was a boring movie, but it was 3 in the morning, and I had been up at 7 I smoked a pork shoulder, a pork butt all day yesterday. And then we just started the movie, and I'm like, it's 2:30. I can feel myself going. And then I did one of these
2:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Greg, get some sleep, sir.
It is a weekend. Come on.
You're not 20 anymore.
No. And that's why I fell asleep watching a movie I was really into. And I remember at one point, Krista's like, do you not like this movie? And I'm like, no, I'm really trying to enjoy it. I'm just super tired right now.
Yeah.
So I made it to he and the boy got away.
Okay.
And then it's kind of spotty after that. So
got away from the first, like where he walks into that place and he rescues the boy.
Yeah, like he pulled him out of a trunk of a car. So I don't think I made it real far at all.
No, haven't yet. No.
So
wow.
But I did watch the fight scene of him taking the kid, and I thought that was pretty amazing.
Yeah. And there is something coming up, Greg, that is all. I'm not ruining anything, but it is all in one. It looks like shot? It is all in one shot, and I don't know how they did it. So I'm thinking there has to be some sort of CGI that they got in there to make it look like it was. I don't know.
Yeah, awesome. So that's a topic good. we can cover. Something I've been noticing. So we watched. So it was Krista and I and Kate. Lex stuck around for a little bit, but we watched It 2.
Okay.
and we had watched the first one. I had watched it a while ago, and then Krista and Kate had watched it like 4 or 5 weeks ago, something like that. And then it premiered on HBO, so we watched it there. We watched it too. And they're like, Kate's on the edge of her seat. She watches a horror movie very vocally. Oh no, don't do it. Oh, I can't watch. Oh,
that's fun.
So she's doing that whole thing. Lex has like his fingers in his ears, like doesn't want to hear it, but he's watching it. Krista's just kind of got the hand out and being all nervous. And I'm watching it, just really not impressed.
You didn't like it?
It was fine. I got I think it was probably a half hour or 45 minutes too long for me.
Did you like it compared to the first part one?
I thought both of them had moments where I was like, "Ooh, that's kind of creepy." But the moment that I started looking at, so like the old woman in the second one, where she's in the house and like you see her kind of going back and forth in the doorway, that was creepy. But then when she comes out and it's just a total CGI.
I see. Yeah. Okay.
I am taken out of the movie completely. And then I started to think about even some of the action films. So like the Marvel films where you're watching it, the parts I'm enjoying the most are the fights where you can tell it's the real actors going through a choreography. As soon as they snap into like the full CGI, like CGI versus CGI kind of character, I'm just less impressed at that point. It kind of really takes me out of the film. A lot of people don't mind, but I'm like, okay.
Okay, so then that would say, I know what you're talking about, but when I know I'm going into a Marvel movie, I'm expecting CGI.
Right. Well,
so were you not expecting CGI in that moment with it?
No, totally am. But
you were?
Okay. Yeah, oh yeah. I knew what was going to come out was some big CGI something.
Monster.
But it's just
good enough.
It's just not scary to me then. I mean,
you are also, you're
an adult. 42-year-old man who doesn't get scared of that kind of stuff.
Right.
But looking at it, I don't know. It just really, I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that's not terrifying it.
What was the one movie when you were a kid that you watched that literally scared you so much that you were afraid to shut off the lights, you were afraid to be home alone? What was it?
I don't know.
I know mine right offhand.
I know I got scared of films.
Yeah.
But I don't remember the ones I remember, like I was a little kid. Yeah. Like little, like don't want to, like looking at the top of the stairs going.
How old is your youngest?
She's 10.
10. I think I was around 8, 9, 10, one of those ages. And we watched The Howling.
Okay. Yeah.
That scared me so much to where, and what really scared me is these wolves changed. It didn't matter if it was a full moon or not. They would just change whenever they felt like it. And that freaked me out because I didn't feel like I was safe during the day. I didn't feel like I was safe during the night. That freaked me out. And the other movie that freaked me out was I watched on TV. So it had commercials. It was edited. Was Halloween.
Okay. Yeah.
And the music just made me, I was so scared. So scared. But go ahead. You were talking. So it's the CGI that you don't like in movies now? It takes you out of films?
Well, in terms of like a horror film, it just wasn't scary. I mean, I remember watching, and this is more of a gore fest, but it was Hellraiser, where a guy
that sickens me. Yeah.
Well, it was, and I don't actually enjoy those films, so it's not like it's something that but it happened to be on. I was a kid, I was watching, or I was a teenager and I was watching.
Right.
And there's a scene where a guy is like completely splayed out. He's got hooks in him, and they like tear him apart.
Right.
But you can't do that because obviously it was all like latex and rubber and everything else. So you did like all those quick shots where you couldn't see it long enough to really see what it was. Right. And your imagination had to fill in the gaps. And I think
that's
that was
more terrifying. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good point.
I guess terrifying movie is you go back and you watch the first Alien film, where it's all environmental. I mean, you're not actually seeing anything. It's music cues. It's the jump scares are like a steam valve will go off or something like that.
You're right.
I mean, that to me is more terrifying than kind of the modern kind of horror films.
Oh, I don't get scared about anything anymore. I just always thought that's because I'm old. That I understand I'm looking at a movie. Like I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'll watch. I'm trying to think of a movie that got me like ooh. And I remember I watched it at your house, and this was years ago. We were watching What Lies Beneath with Harrison Ford, Michelle Pfeiffer.
Really?
Yeah, and that, I mean, it's a different kind of film, but there's a couple moments in that film where like a supernatural thing would happen,
right.
And the way they shot it and the way it was like almost unexpected at the time, you're like, oh! I mean, and that was good. I mean, that was. Even still, I'll rewatch that film and I'm like, I know it's coming, and then when it happens, I'm like, oh, they did it so well.
Yeah, I think the first Conjuring was like that.
Yeah.
Like when she had the match and he goes, like that was freaky.
There was what is it? The Others with Nicole Kidman.
The Others. Oh yes, okay. Where they're the ghosts, right? Spoiler. Sorry.
Sorry. I was like, but that was, to me, that was smart filmmaking, and the point where the daughter is like, you think she's possessed, and it's like, where's my daughter? She's like, hey man, I am your daughter, and I'm like, oh, and then that twist at the end, you're like, that's fantastic. I mean, that's just good filmmaking.
So that I guess that's so I guess we're going off of that. So let me ask you a question. Did you like it too? Did you like it or no?
If it was a scale of 1 to 10, I'd put it at a solid 4.5.
Okay.
For me.
So I
didn't hate it, but I could take it or leave it. Like I don't ever need to watch it again.
Right. Neither do I. I thought the scariest part in it too was when he actually got that little kid like under the bleachers. That was creepy. That was creepy to me. Other than that, I was with you. In fact, it actually, I'll be honest, the beginning turned me off. Like when you're beaten up, I didn't understand the point of that scene to beat up the gay couple. I didn't see the point of it. Right. I know it's in the book, and I know it's in the book, and I know the book. I think the book symbolizes it in a different way. Here, it just seemed like it was unnecessary.
Yeah,
like, you have to show that.
Well, it didn't make sense in a lot of ways because nowhere else was it killing adults.
Right.
And then I'm like, I don't understand why he's going after that guy. He's a full-grown man.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It
doesn't keep with it at all. So,
but going back to my point, what I'm trying to get at here is, do you think you didn't like? If you would have loved the movie, would the CGI have ruined it for you? Still, do you see what I'm getting at?
No.
What I'm getting at is,
you're right. Yeah, if I had actually enjoyed the story enough, because there are movies out there that I really do enjoy that are very heavy in CGI.
Yeah.
So
yes, I was just curious about that. Speaking of a movie that I just watched that was we're kind of on this horror thing, but I thought it was excellently done, was A Quiet Place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one. Now those are CG monsters, and that didn't bother me.
Right. Well, I think again, it's not something you don't really see those monsters that much, and when you do get a close up look at them, you're like, oh. Design was well enough, and maybe it's just how well the CGI is done, like more realistic.
The story.
I don't know, because like when you see that old woman in it too, you're like totally CGI, like you can just see. But you go to like Planet of the Apes or Rise of the Planet of the Apes movies that they've done recently.
Wait, old woman from Quiet Place? Or are you talking about Back to It?
Back to It. Like,
okay.
Like the level of CGI. So in A Quiet Place, you look at the monster and you know it's CGI, but it looked real enough.
Right.
You know what I mean? With like they had like the tympanic, like the eardrum kind of vibrating, stuff like that. You're like, oh, okay. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Maybe that's a bad example because you knew, like, if it was the CGI wolf, that always throws me off.
Mm. Okay.
Like, but since it's an alien, since it's some sort of something that's not part of our realm, that maybe you let it into your imagination, I guess. You sat there, said like, "Oh, I get it. All right, that's what the monster looks like." But
I'm going into my history now to see what I've actually been watching because you asked me that question. I've been like, I don't know what I'm watching. I've been rewatching Letterkenny just because it's fun, but
I haven't watched one Rick or Morty yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I hear it's getting good. I just haven't had time.
Yeah. Oh, we watched The Outer Banks a little bit. Krista watched it more than me. That was good.
What's The Outer Banks? The Outer Banks.
Some kind of like, I don't know if they're in Florida. Like, I think it is. Like they're in South Florida, kind of treasure hunting type movie.
Really?
Or show. It's a show, series. But like people in their early 20s, I think.
Wait. Is it reality or is it like a?
No,
a
it's
story?
it's a story.
Okay.
It's a story. What else have I been watching? Killing a lot of The Office again. Or we watched Bright because that's a good movie.
Oh, Bright with Will Smith?
Yeah, I enjoyed that movie.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. I don't know if I'd watch it again. They're making a sequel, I thought.
Are they still?
I don't know. I don't know what's on pause now. I mean, everything's on pause.
I think if I'm right, because didn't David Ayer, he did Training Day?
Yes.
As well.
Yes.
And I think my friend down in Texas that you didn't get to meet, but we're going to.
Yeah. Wrote Boom Boom.
What's that? Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Boom Boom. Okay.
Yeah. I think David Ayer bought their house, like their first house, because when we're sitting at the Salt Lick, which is a barbecue place down there, she's like, we were just talking, because I hadn't seen her in a while. She's like, well, yeah, in our first house, like a director from Hollywood or a director guy, he's a filmmaker, bought our house. I'm like, oh. I said, like, she's like, I guess he's famous. They don't watch TV or movies really at all. They're very outdoorsy, and that's what they do. She's like, yeah, I can't remember what. She's like, I can't remember what he said he made. I'm like, what's his name? She's like, David Ayer. And I went, what? She's like, oh, you heard of him? I'm like, yeah, I've heard of him.
Was it? Did they have an old an old nice big house, or was it just he's a little cottage? The guy just wants to get away from the world.
It was he wanted to live in Austin and was just looking for a decent Austin house, and that's what they had. And
it's becoming quite a hot spot, man.
Oh yeah, Austin's a great place.
That and Nashville, I hear.
Mm-hmm.
People are just going down.
I tell you what, you bring up Nashville. And what I have been enjoying a lot of is all these bands and singers that are putting out stuff either on YouTube, like they're using a Zoom meeting to have like everybody's recording their parts individually, and then they're mixing them all
together.
Yeah, Goldfinger's put out a couple, and I was
gonna say, why don't you tell our listeners a couple? Give me your top 3 list right now of listening to things like that. You got one? Goldfinger's one.
Yeah, I've really been enjoying Goldfinger a lot. Bare Naked Ladies have put out a couple. And who else? God, you just keep watching them, so it's like, which ones am I going to recommend? God, I spent an hour watching a bunch. I don't know. I'm going to go for 2 right now because that's what's in my head. So Bare Naked Ladies and Goldfinger.
All right. What kind of music does Goldfinger like? What do they fall under?
Kind of like a punk ska, early 90s kind of stuff.
You have a very unique palette of music.
I have a very wide palette of music.
Yeah, I would say that.
Anybody who says that I can't stand like country music. Oh, I hate country music.
I actually love country music.
Well, and you look at it, you're like, all of any type of music can. So you may have music that you don't like, but saying that it shouldn't exist, no, come on.
Yeah.
That's kind of my thought.
I get where you're at. I think a lot of times it's just ingrained. It's ingrained. Like, I'll tell you, like, I hated country for the longest time, or I convinced myself I hated it for the longest time because the people I hung out with made it such a big deal.
Right.
And instead of me, like, waiting for me to get a taste for it, they were trying to force feed it.
Well, and I think if you want to try any kind of type of music, or it's like anything else, you can't go in and be like, okay, I'm going to listen to country for an hour.
Yeah, right.
And you listen to it, you're like, no, I don't think I like it. And then you don't ever go back to it. You need to like ingest it, listen to like the top country songs, on a playlist and start to figure that out.
Yeah, or not only that, you need it at the right time. Like if you're just sitting back and I don't know, having a cold one on a Friday night, relaxing from the rest of the week. Yeah. That's a good time to listen to that type of music.
A lot of music a lot of bands that I discover is when I'm just putting Spotify or whatever on a random mix and they're like, okay, we have your musical taste. You might like this band. Yeah. And I'm like, and it's usually when I'm working, it's like doing data entry or whatever for the job. Right. And I'm like, ooh, I like that. What's that? And then I'll go
algorithm. The algorithm for Spotify must be like, what is with this guy?
I bet. Because I will be listening to like metal for an hour, discovering new metal bands, and then I totally switch over to Broadway show tunes.
Oh, hey, you got a notepad?
Something, yeah.
You're talking about mumble rap, how you hate mumble rap.
Yeah.
And I think I'm with you on that, except I want you to listen to a guy called NF. You probably heard of him. His name is NF, and look up the song "The Search."
Okay.
Yeah, I like his stuff. He tends to rap very, very fast, but if you listen to it, you can hear every word enunciated perfectly. Yeah. Is that not mumble rap?
No.
So it's not fast. It's just that's mumble rap.
Like even like Post Malone, who I'm getting more respect for. He came out with like some mumble rap at first, but he's got like some tunes that I would just put into country. So okay, here's something. And for people that say they hate certain types of music or certain genres or whatever, I was watching Hot Ones. You know that show, Hot Ones?
Yes.
So I was watching Hot Ones, and it was Justin Timberlake, who, again, is an artist. Like when he first came out with NSYNC, like every red-blooded American guy was like, oh man, I hate these guys. They suck.
Yep.
And then we waited 5 years, and he came out with like Future Sex Love Sounds or Justified or something like that. Some of his other albums. We're like,
Cry me a river.
Yeah, we're like, no, I still hate him, but some of his music's okay. Right. And then he came out with his next one, and we're like, no, and then he did comedy. He did like Saturday Night Live or something. We're like, actually, no, he's really good. He's a very talented individual. But
that reminds me of, remember Office Space, where the guys listen to hardcore rap in their car, and the black guy
turns it down.
Turns it down.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of like how it is. Like you're jamming out to Justin Timberlake, and you notice your friends are like coming by, and you turn the shit down, so nobody knows.
And I liked a lot of different stuff for a long time. So I had an NSYNC, one of their CDs, and I remember I had a tutoring job for this kid in high school, and I would hide the NSYNC CD like in the glove compartment so that he wouldn't see it out on the console. I'm like, I can't have this kid thinking that I'm listening to NSYNC and all. Anyway, so Justin Timberlake's on Hot Ones.
Yeah.
And he came out, I think it's when Justified came out. Okay. Or maybe it was one of his albums. I can't remember which one he said. But he's at a party, and Marilyn Manson comes up to him, and he does a great Marilyn Manson impression, but Marilyn Manson like touches him on the shoulder. He's like, hey, Justin. And he's like, hey, Marilyn Manson, holy crap. And because first he was like, whoa, Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, right.
Because he's scary looking. And then he's like, Marilyn's like, I just want to say, I listened to your album, and I think it's the most revolutionary piece of music I've heard of ever. And he's like, wow, thanks, man. And he's like, and Marilyn Manson is actually like a really cool.
From what I've understood, he is nothing like his persona.
Even still, like I watched a special with Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre and another music producer. I can't remember, but it's like a biopic about Dre. And
it's about Dre.
One episode comes up and he's cranking Nirvana. And he's like, man, Kurt Cobain was amazing. He's like, when I listen to when I really want to get into the grudge vibe, he's like, I always go straight to Nirvana. He's like, I always still do like Pearl Jam and
who's saying this? Who's saying
Dr. Dre.
Okay,
and
Dr. Dre.
They show him out by his pool and he's listening to Nirvana. He's just like, he's like doing air drums and just doing all that stuff. And I'm like, if Dr. Dre, can listen to every genre of music, well, you know what, you can too.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, not only that, he's a really big time producer now, right?
Well, it's
that's So I mean, he's probably trying. I think there's just some people, and I think you're one of them, where not to his level, but to the point where music, it moves you and it takes you somewhere, and it totally it engulfs you. Like it sounds like that Dr. Dre thing. Like he's appreciating what that is for the mood he's in.
Yeah. I've never, and maybe I got it from my mom, but she listened to lots of different styles of music and whatnot. And yeah, it's just whatever you want to put in and whatever you feel like. I mean, I'm kind of heavy into the more like the metal scene right now and hard rock. And that's
what do you mean, like hair band?
A little bit of Motley Crue. I got I still think "Kickstart My Heart" is a great tune for just about anything.
I will not listen to that in a car because I'll go 80.
Oh, yeah,
or 90.
Absolutely. I love that song.
Easy.
Just that opening riff where it's just.
But actually, if you want to, that's a great, like, if you need motivation to do something.
Yeah.
That's one of them for sure.
I found a band called The Nearly Deads.
Okay.
It's either I think it's the Nearly Deads. And again, this is just Spotify saying, you know what, you might like this band, and I love them. One of the things like when I say I'm listening to metal, I'm listening to like hard rock bands and metal bands with female leads, which I know sounds really specific.
Like Lita Ford?
A little bit.
Did I get that name right? I'm impressed.
Oh yeah, no, it's totally.
If you're listening out there, folks, be impressed right now because I don't know where.
It is the Nearly Deads. They're out of Nashville. Great band. And not like super heavy, but heavy enough. In fact, I started a whole playlist on Spotify for myself. I should just share it with you.
Nearly Dead? The Nearly Dead rock band.
The Nearly Deads, yep.
Freak Show. Good song?
Yeah.
I see. Now I got her. She's kind of hot. In a punky.
Oh, yeah.
Hard rock way.
It's a great look. Not why I listen to them, but still a great look. First to 11, they do a lot of covers. I've been liking their stuff, but that's led me back to like going back to Garbage and going back to even some like Fiona Apple and stuff like that. I mean, just getting some of that. OTEP is one band. They did a cover of Royals that I really liked.
Okay.
Halo Scene. Oh, I thought here's a band. It's just a woman. She's in two bands, and then she's like guest spotting in a lot of bands. But her name is Lauren Babick, and she's a woman who can do like that big metal growl, and just really cool. I actually picked her up off of TikTok. I was just going through different music stuff on TikTok, and she popped up.
I see her right now.
Jonathan Young, he does a lot of covers. So I picked up a lot of his stuff. Who else?
Do you like Billie Eilish?
I like a lot of her stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I actually don't mind her.
Well, and again, I've been listening to people do like hard metal covers of her stuff, and I love that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why are you in so... Is it because you're cooking a lot of meat?
No, it's just going through a phase right now.
Just going through the phase.
I mean, even some of the other bands that I used to listen to that got put in the playlist, a little bit of Limp Bizkit.
Limp Bizkit. Wow, I remember that group.
A little bit of that. Alien Ant Farm. I liked their stuff. Audio Slave, Drowning Pool, Hailstorm. Gotta love Hailstorm. Kid Rock.
What's the one song that we can't play these on the air? We'll get in trouble, won't we?
Well, yeah, it's one of those you're not supposed to play them, and if we do, they could take our video down.
They take our video down, or they mute it.
I think they just take our video down,
or they give us a strike.
Yep. And we're talking about YouTube. I don't know about any of the podcast platforms.
Yeah, I don't know that either. Yeah.
Anchor and KOR, that's another one that I've been listening to.
Anchor.
So yeah, just stuff like that.
What do you listen to all that music for? Like when you have time? Like when you're cooking?
Yeah, if I'm making dinner. I mean, I'll do a lot of that. And I flip flop between that and audiobooks, like when I'm doing. But depending on, so that not so much lately with my job, because I'm doing like Zoom trainings, and I'm hosting trainings, so I don't get a lot of time where I can just be in my own world and
not but zone out.
But like do the work and like not talk to anybody or not have to listen to anybody, and it's just me with my stuff. Right. And so that's like on Mondays and Tuesdays I get to listen to music. But then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm doing all Zoom trainings from like 8 to 6 almost some nights. So
8 to 6.
Yeah, well, we got some people that because there's a computer-based training element to this.
Yeah.
And so it's like, even though the class only says it's going to take you a half hour, you've got to figure different reading levels. We got people where English is not their first language. So sometimes that half-hour course may take them more than an hour.
Yeah.
We're there to support them as they go through that stuff.
Right.
So you're just sitting there, but I can't be listening to music. And then they would come on and be like, Greg, I have a question. Okay, hold on. I didn't hear you because I'm jamming out to something else. They can't do that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna throw some good news in here. Because I like the whole idea of the good news thing. So
some good news with John Krasinski.
Yeah, I love that show.
I thought of you and I should put on suit tops at least. Like
I agree.
And then just sit there and like straighten our papers like the whole time because he's always like slapping his papers down and turning in another direction.
So wait a minute. I think right now, if we were to do this, plan this out, you're on this side of my screen. So if you look towards. Would that be your window?
If I go this way?
Yes. So if we both do that at the same time, I think let's look at each other. If not, we just look like idiots.
If not, then we're both looking the opposite way.
For you audio people, you're welcome. All right. So some good news. Look, there's a lot of good news out there. In fact, I went to the Good News Network.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I pulled up one that I like because I am actually hearing a lot of positives towards this governor. The New York governor issues an order allowing couples to be legally married via Zoom. I didn't know that was an issue before, but I guess...
I think it has to do with the witnessing, I would think.
Maybe. But this Andrew Cuomo?
Cuomo?
C-U-O-M-O.
Cuomo.
Is it Cuomo?
Okay. It is.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of good things. Mm-hmm. Like every time this guy does something, everybody's like, "Way to go!" Like I don't hear a lot of flack coming from this guy. So, I'm saying keep your eye out. Maybe he's going to be talked into being a president one day because he seems to be handling stuff the right way. When and he's at the hotbed of all this Corona stuff, and he's making all the right calls. That's what it sounds like. So, but anyway, he's allowing that to happen. It says here in his tweet, I am issuing an executive order allowing New Yorkers to obtain a marriage license remotely and allowing clerks to perform ceremonies via video conferencing. That's good for him. It's good. We had somebody the other day had a birthday down our neighborhood, and there was a line of maybe 40 cars. That
really? Doing a drive-by?
Honking, and handing out. So that was really cool. The only thing that was a little bit disconcerting about it was that was prime napping time for in our house. So I was like, that's great. Just don't honk here. Honk down there.
Yeah.
But yeah. So good things happening in your neighborhood?
Yeah. Like our neighborhood is, I mean, we're out. I mean, we're all maintaining social distancing and things like that. But
Right.
so both neighbors, like across the road from me, they both got puppies. So that's been interesting. One of them just came this weekend, a Great Dane puppy.
Holy cow.
Well, they have one Great Dane already.
Okay.
And she's an old Great Dane. So I think part of this is them trying to do like the overlap of dogs. But
Yep.
yeah, this puppy came over. There's so much loose skin on that dog because they're going to grow into it. But yeah, so that was puppy fever going on.
Puppies are awesome.
They are great. There is, because all the Goodwills, all those thrift stores are closed. Yeah. A lot of people are just putting the stuff out on their curb as like, come take it. You want it?
Good stuff? You get any good stuff?
Yeah, we got 3 stools for our basement. They're like bar stools.
Nice.
And they are going to be used as art stools.
Okay.
So Krista's little art area down there, she's going to be able to use that and actually have a place to sit instead of just standing at the art table the whole time. Yeah. And I think I have seen people that actually paint those. Like, here's my art stool, but I'm going to paint it. So
right, yeah.
Maybe the girls will do that or something.
Cool.
So yeah,
that's about it.
You know, generosity is kind of going around for a lot of different people. A lot of just like understanding, like something's not happening, and people are like, "Hey, man, we get it. It's okay." I'm like, oh
yeah. People are pretty tolerant now. I've noticed. Mm-hmm. The only time you're not tolerant is because I work out in the stores every week. Mm-hmm. People get real testy in the stores.
Are they still? Yeah.
Yeah, just because it's not usual. It's just 1 or 2 people will like avoid the 6-foot rule, and it's like they'll just go right in front of you, and it freaks some people out. I don't care, but it freaks some people out, and I understand, you know, especially if you're a little bit older or if you're just this little old lady trying to just like, to them it must feel so fearful to walk into a grocery store, you know what I mean, to get all that stuff, and you got these impatient assholes that are zooming past you, and you know. So
I got into a little Facebook back and forth with some people not too long ago.
Oh, that something. Go ahead.
So I mean, and it's the idea that kind of like the protests happening, stuff like that. I'm like, look, this is real. And people are like, well, we can't just completely shut down the state and expect our economy. I'm like, you're right. We can't. But at the same time, we're talking about human lives. We got to figure out. And to me, it's more like, and I'm starting to hear more and more about it, like the utility companies or the people you pay bills to. Yeah. That are saying, okay, you can pay us later. Like, we're not letting people off the hook. We're not doing, but we understand where people are at.
Right.
Let's just postpone payment or do something along those lines. And I think that's good. Right. As opposed to like us completely opening all the stores up again and then just starting to spread it again. I mean, people are like, it's not that serious. We've got, you know, I heard from people at the hospital that said that there's plenty of beds available. And I'm like, right. That's what we wanted. I mean, we didn't want to overload the hospital and have it a packed house. That's why we shut stuff down.
Yeah, I agree.
And but they're angry. They're angry that, and I'm angry about that too. I have people that are very close to me that are very affected by either job loss or job delay or whatever you want to call it. But at the same time, I understand how infectious stuff works.
Right.
And if we do just say, you know what, everybody go back to normal, it's going to start spreading again. Yeah. And so there are people out there like, well, it's either that or our society crumbles. So what are you going to do? And I'm like, I don't think society's going to
it's not going to crumble.
But
I've heard a bunch of conspiracy theories that, oh, Bill Gates is planning this. This is something he wanted so they can take. Okay, look, no governor, no mayor, no head official wants to keep doing this, guys. They don't. It doesn't look good for them. It's not helping anybody out. Okay, so there is no grand scheme. Now, I love a good conspiracy theory. I believe in a few of them.
You do.
This is not one of them. This is one of those things like, look, something came out of China, and it's all over the world, and nobody really knows what to do because no one's ever really faced it, right? And people are like, I have this Facebook friend. He's a friend of mine. He might even listen to the show. If he is listening to the show, he knows exactly who he is. I haven't reached out to him, but every time he's the guy that posts something all the time about the governor of Illinois, posting of how mad he is that he's doing this thing, he's doing that thing, he's doing this thing. It's all negative. Here's my thing, okay? You have every right, sir, to express your anger, to get it out. But give me a solution. What would you do? If you're so smart, what would you do?
Yeah.
Right? Or just give me a balance, because all this guy feeds is negativity.
Right.
All he's throwing is complaining. Give me a solution. What would you do better? That's my
right. And it's to really answer that question is not an easy answer. Like right now, it can't be just like, well, you lift the ban and let people go out and do their stuff. And it's like, but then you're costing more lives. If you want to stay home, then stay home. If you're a business owner that doesn't want to open their business, then don't open your business. And like, it's really not that easy.
No,
I mean, it's really, it's just, I don't know.
It's not that simple. Sorry, guys. We were on good news and we went right into this little
we just
thing.
Took a 180 back to here.
We went right back to the negative.
So I mean, there's good news wise. I mean, internationally or just nationally, there's awesome stuff going on. I mean, I know around me, like right away, a woman I can link to her Facebook page down below, or at least the page she made. Her name's Casey, and she immediately started like a hey, let's help each other out page. I can't remember that, it's like a COVID crisis kind of page, but specifically for the communities around us.
That's cool.
And like the area that I kind of live in is called Lake Country. I mean, there's a bunch of different towns that kind of make up Lake Country. Right. And I think it's the Lake Country COVID relief page. So, and it really just started as a who needs what, and it became an exchange of like, I have gloves over here. I have this. Do you need this? I'm at the store right now and I found hand sanitizer. Who needs some? I mean, it was
a community. Yeah.
It really cool moving forward kind of thing. I'm like, this could go on forever. Like this could be, it's not just a COVID thing. It's a community helping community page. So
it should go on forever. I think I think we're social creatures. Like there's a reason why we all had tribes, right? Like when we first started out, we need to be social. And I think the more, that goes back to the old saying, right? When you give, you get more back than you ever could possibly imagine. So we need to get back to that. And I think we already just did a topic thunder on this, but the positivities that can come out of this is could really last a long time. It could make you remember, hey, there were days that, that we thought this might not never mind. I don't know what I'm saying. Don't worry.
We're not going into Mad Max in the next 3 weeks.
No, we are not. Okay. Well, here's something from around the world, a little positivity, and then we'll go into our fact of the day, because I think we'll close this up.
Sure.
In the Himalayan mountaintops are visible for the first time in 30 years as air pollution continues to plummet in India.
Yeah, and that's India is a big one, but like lots of other places, you're seeing like, oh, we can see stuff now.
Yeah,
I think that's cool.
I think it's awesome. The dolphins started swimming in the canals in Venice.
Yeah, they
like that. I think the last one I remember is that the leatherback sea turtle community is thriving because no one's on the beaches.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
Like they're really thriving, I guess. So that's cool too. So that is your good news. We're gonna end this podcast, but before we do that, we are going to go to our random fact of the day, and that is. Oh, I actually know this one. I love this story. Listen to this. A dog named. I know how to. Okay, help me say this because I know it, but I don't know it right now. CACAO. Cacao?
Probably.
All right. A dog named Cacao in Milan regularly catches the number 45 bus by himself to visit his favorite spot in the city. He will only get on if it's the driver that he likes, and once he has reached his destination, a park, he leaps off and wanders around for a few hours before catching the same bus back home.
All right.
Yeah. You know what? We also brought this up one time with would you ever clone your dog? Clone that dog.
Yeah.
There's something special about that dog. So that's cool. All right, man. I appreciate you jumping on today. Everybody that listened to us, thank you for listening to us. We will be back in the middle with our guest. I don't know who our guest is, but we will have one for sure.
It's coming up, yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, Greg, have a great week. Everybody else actually this goes into weekends. So everybody have a great weekend. Stay safe. Greg, as always, wash your hands. And take care.
Have a good one.
Johnny and the Greg in the middle. We are out. Take care.